Hi, I am Amita Banerjee, professor and epidemiologist, author of Pandemic A Third Eye, and from continuing the book reading of chapter 17. The title of chapter 17 is Military Lessons for Medical Leaders. The pandemic war was declared on the pandemic, and once you declare war, the there's a lot of difference in theory and practice. In practice, both fights can become messy, and their military leaders, good military leaders, continuously evaluate the ground situation. So this chapter deals with the acts of omission and commissions when we were sort of fighting a war against the pandemic. Actually, pandemic should not be fought as wars, but it has become fashionable to declare war on everything. And we have seen in earlier chapters also key war, there are a lot of collateral harm and which occurred in this pandemic also. So ignoring tropical diseases in the country and blindly following ill-informed Western leads is a costly mistake. Because in war, one has to adapt to the terrain. The Western ground is different than the or countries which has a different demography, different population density. So accordingly, in war, a good general adapts the strategy. I have started with an example of a German general. It's a rather long name, Kurt von Hammerskин-Ickord, a German general and a long time opponent of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi regime, conceived a classical scheme for military leaders. I distinguish four types. They are clever, hardworking, stupid, and lazy officers. Usually, two characteristics are combined. Some are clever and hardworking. Their place is in the general staff. The next ones are stupid and lazy. They make up 90% of every army and are suited for routine duties. Stupid and lazy, passive people. That the general population also mostly made up. Passively accept whatever. Anyone who is both clever and lazy is qualified for the highest leadership duties because he possesses the mental clarity and strength of nerve necessary for difficult decisions. A leader who is intelligent and lazy is good for command because since he is lazy, he will not interfere with his subordinates' work and let them develop. If he is hardworking and intelligent, others will not develop under him. But he being lazy, others will also develop. And once they do something wrong, he being intelligent can bail them out, can bail out the situation. And what is the worst type of leader this good general had described? One must beware of anyone who is both stupid and hardworking. He must not be entrusted with any responsibility because he will always cause damage. And being stupid, he will go in the wrong direction, and being hardworking, he will go so much in the wrong direction that nobody can salvage the situation. So the most dangerous type of people, who may be well-meaning, are the stupid and hardworking. So what we saw in the pandemic, the global medical community declared war on SARS-CoV-2. The cost and collateral damage perhaps reached the scale of the earlier two great military wars. Pandemic operations on war footing call for leadership qualities of high caliber on par with that of military wars. Important insights can be obtained by analyzing the leadership styles which shaped the strategies and continue to do so in the ongoing war against the pandemic. And what concerns me more is that they are preparing more of this by the pandemic treaty and amendment to international health regulations. They are going to make it really tough. Unfortunately, the lead in the present war on the pandemic was taken by medical thought leaders whose lack of experience made them take draconian measures, causing immense collateral harm. Experts from the West who led the global war against the pandemic lacked battle experience as they handled few communicable diseases. However, they dominate mainstream medical thinking. Medical literature published by them are read with reverence, usually reserved for holy scriptures. It's given in Lancet, it's given in New England as if they are holy books among academics. Retractions of research based on fake data from some of the reputed journals during the pandemic make us wonder whether all along we have been worshipping false gods. The response of these experts in the thread of the novel SARS-CoV-2 is reminiscent of the classic tale of Don Quixote and his aide Sancho Panza, epitomizing deluded leadership. The quixotic delusion, such as mistaking windmills for monsters, gave rise to the idiom tilting at windmills, implying attacking imagined enemies. In management parlance, it amounts to addressing issues which are unimportant or impossible to overcome. In spite of his delusions, Don Quixote and wins Sancho Panza's devotion and admiration. This has been happening in the pandemic, that imaginary monsters from windmills. I mean, if you have seen actual data, the infection fatality rate of this virus was like any other respiratory virus. Delusion of a highly lethal virus led to panic in the medical leadership. When leadership panics, the common people panic manifold. To be fair, this delusion of high lethality was due to limited data in the initial stages of the pandemic. Whatever figures were available were from seriously ill hospital cases. Naturally, this overestimate the lethality. The highly rated journal Lancet published an early paper estimating a death rate of 20% from the novel coronavirus. One odd paper estimated. However, a good military leader monitors information from the battlefield to calibrate his attack with changing dynamics. In the pandemic, even when studies reveal the majority of infections are asymptomatic, mild and self-limiting, killing less than 0.3% of those infected, misguided efforts and resources continue to be wasted on questionable control policies. The strategy adopted by most countries was to use restrictive measures to break the chain of transmission, to act as speed breakers and give breathing space to overwhelmed hospital services. In military operations, this can be compared to temporary retreat to check mass casualties. Okay, so far so good. However, meanwhile, vaccine development moved at great speed, aided by novel gene-based technology. This generated optimism of quick recovery and unrealistic target of zero cases. Why this strategy was flawed? A good general fights a war on all fronts. The basic principle was overlooked and continued to be overlooked in the single-minded attack on only one front, that is COVID-19. When the hurly-burly is done and the battle is lost and won, we may come to the bitter truth that we lost more lives from loss of livelihoods than lives saved from COVID-19. While the medical leaders of the West may be condoned for their naivety, as most have not done real battle with communicable diseases, the acts of omission and commission of our own Indian advisors amount to Himalayan blunder. The burden and mortality from any of our endemic diseases are much higher than COVID-19. We should have realized that given the sheer size of our population and its density, of the self, one size fits all solutions from the West will not work. The elephant in the room presently was already very high level of population level immunity, which nobody was acknowledging. The fourth round of sero survey undertaken by ICMR in June 2021 revealed country seropositivity of 67%, which translate to 93 crores Indians having antibodies to the COVID-19 virus. This has resulted mostly from widespread community transmission of natural infection, as the vaccination coverage during this study was less than 5%. With just 5% vaccination coverage, we had almost 70% seropositivity. According to well-established principles of immunology, having acquired natural infection, which may be symptomatic or asymptomatic, confers robust immunity better than any vaccine. This was also repeatedly confirmed by ongoing studies across the globe. A study from Israel established that natural infection gives 13 times stronger immunity than that conferred by vaccination. Another important point in our favor was the second wave in our country, which was more than 4 times more massive and widespread than the first wave was due to the Delta variant. Having faced its havoc, our population earned herd immunity the hard way. If we had followed the science, we may have paused to think whether it will serve any purpose to roll out mass vaccination in such a population at huge cost and resources. A good general would have conserved his heavy artery in such a situation. We too may have considered focused vaccination in high risk groups instead of mass indiscriminate vaccination. The Chinese warrior philosopher Sun Tzu, in his Art of War, said that those who are not thoroughly aware of the disadvantages in the use of arms cannot be thoroughly aware of the advantages in the use of arms. Vaccines are heavy artillery with us now. We should know both their disadvantages, mostly unknown, particularly long-term side effects, as well as the advantage, and use them judiciously like a good general who conserves firepower. And now, as the time unfolded, we know there are sometimes serious side effects, particularly the vaccine Covishield, which is used in India. In young people under 50 years, that was banned in many countries, suspended rather, because of the blood clotting and other ill effects like strokes. So this is something which is a major miscalculation we did. Lastly, it is high time our medical decision makers and researchers stopped imitating the West blindly. We should take full advantage of the research opportunities provided by the vast variety of diseases prevalent in our country. As one of the founder fathers of London School of Tropical Medicine, Sir Patrick Manson, said more than a century ago, the tropical practitioner enjoys opportunities for original research and discovery far superior in novelty and interest to those at the command of his fellow inquirer in the well-worked field of European and American research. These words from the great master should inspire our researchers. If medical researchers from developing countries do not take the lead in tropical medicine, minor ailments of affluence will get more priority than major ailments of poverty. Failure to seize the opportunity will firmly establish the era of medical imperialism, giving rise to a new world order replacing arms race with pharma race. In this race, all the poor countries with the neglected tropical diseases will be left far behind. And we are actually seeing this now. We are having cases of dengue, we are having deaths of dengue, and the data is just not updated. It is almost 3, 4 months here. After April, the data has not been updated of dengue, where it is taking a heavy toll at present in our country. And we had COVID data which was updated every 24 hours. These are then the new pandemic treaty is being proposed, global pandemic treaty, international health regular amendments, which all will be driven by diseases which they think Western countries that they are of public health importance. Whereas we have got enough diseases as on today in our country, which are the neglected tropical diseases. So until unless we gain confidence, our researchers, and we just keep begging for grants from abroad, then as long as this situation continues, will be academic slaves rather. Medical imperialism will be thriving, and the WHO also has got its own interest nowadays. Most of the funding is coming from private players and pharma. So this is, we have to consider that in the name of disease, we should not surrender our autonomy. So that is all I had to say today. Thank you.